what we'll learn in this last session of today is how to upload or download files to the cluster and basically be able to transfer files. And we'll be using a couple of different ways to do that. So one way that we can download files is doing it through the command wget. That's typically if there's a file on the internet somewhere, not on your laptop, but on some server that's serving files on the internet. Like, for example, the material for this course. So the ones that were present yesterday, you've already seen the use of wget because we've been using it to download training material for you to test out commands and stuff like that. And the syntax is the command wget and then the URL to what you want to download. Of course, as all Linux commands, wget also have many options, but we're just going to use the simplest way here, just without any options and just the URL. So
on Mac, wget isn't on Mac if you haven't installed
yeah,
build.
it could be that you on Mac, but if you're trying to download something on Mac, you might have to use curl instead. So, but we're gonna try to use wget basically from Saga, so it's installed there.
Yeah.
But if you're on the Mac and you don't have wget, the similar command is curl curl. So I just want to go to another. So the trick here is then to find the correct URL. And let's go to the menu here of the training material of today. And there is a link here to NRIS training material. If you click on that link, no, that's wrong. Sorry, I mean the downloads link here. So if you click on the download link, there is a file here that you can click on it and it'll download to your laptop. But what I am interested in now is getting the URL of this. So if I kind of right click, I will get an option to copy the link. I will paste this in my command line so that you can see it, and in the collaborative document, so that you can try it yourself. So copy here and let me paste this in here. That is the link. So you can copy paste it from there if you want. So then what I want to try to do now is that I'm on Saga and I want to do wget and that whole URL there and press enter. And then you will see, luckily, that it has actually downloaded the file. It says it's downloaded it to 100% and it saved it to a file called examples.tar. So if I do ls now, I'm expecting to see examples.tar. And indeed, I have it here. This is a file that's archived. It's tarred. It's a way of archiving. So I'm not going to do anything more with that now. I'm not going to unarchive it or anything. This is just a demonstration of how to use wget to fetch a file that's accessible on the internet. So that's one way. And then in some cases, you might want to download GitHub or GitLab repositories. So GitLab and GitHub are, or Git in general, is an example of I've forgotten suddenly the word. My goodness. Version control system. Version control system is what I wanted to say. And some of you might have, are acquainted with it, others may not be, but it's basically a fantastic way to keep the history of your files. So typically people that do coding and other things, they typically use something like Git. to keep versions of their files. They commit and can have messages for each version instead of having to rename your files version 1, version 2, version 3, or your manual version control. So Git is a system which have central repositories on the internet. And if you need to download such a repository, you have to use the command git, and you use clone to download or download it onto your computer or your laptop or on Saga if you're there. So I will try that. I will copy this hello world git. Actually, I can copy this and I can try to go to that repository. See how it looks. So this is now how a Git hub repository looks like. It's open to everyone, so everyone can see this. And it has some files. It has a README. Okay, that README only says create hello world. It has some other files. Well, didn't look very interesting. But anyway, what I want to do is basically download all of these files, the whole folder structure. And that I can do with git clone. So I will try that now. Git clone, and then the URL to the repo, and press enter. So it says it's cloning into hello world. So that means that I will end up with a folder called hello world. And then you get some information about the download, and it says 100%, so it was all successful. Let me now do ls. And indeed, I now have a hello world folder. So let me inspect that with ls. And it looks very similar, luckily, to what I saw here in the repository. License, readme, and sad. License, readme, and sad. And if I do ls-a for all files, also the hidden files, you will see that there's a git ignore and a .project. And in addition, I have one more folder, but that's because when you do git clone, any repository that gets installed then on your folder will have a .git folder created automatically, so that Git knows that it actually is a Git repository. Yeah, so that looks nice. That's as expected. So that's two ways. Yeah,
We could add that if you find version control in Git interesting or something useful, we have a course in Git and GitHub use called Code Refinery, runs twice a year in the autumn and in the spring.
Yeah, maybe someone can post information about that in the collaborative document. So that's really, if you're going to do any serious coding and analysis, it's a great thing to learn. So we recommend that. Okay, so that was two ways to fetch files or directories from the internet. So now let's look at how we can transfer files from your laptop to the cluster, or from the cluster to your laptop. Let's see. I'm going to use, well, we have two commands that are typically used for this. It's scp, safe copy, or rsync. Rsync has many options that are very convenient, especially if you're transferring lots of files or many big files or big files in general, because it has options that if something goes wrong in the middle, it can pick up where it left, so that you don't have to start all again. And that's really convenient, obviously, if you have a lot of files to transfer, or large files. And if you're on Windows, you have to use the Windows subsystem for Linux if you want to use rsync. But I think SCP, safe copy, is yeah, is it the case that you actually have to download rsync specially, or is it all available on Windows now anyway? Let me just close my door. It's a bit open. It might be noisy. Sorry, I'm back. Yes, anyway, if you have some problems on your own window, just let us know in the collaborative document. So I'm a Mac user myself, so it's kind of each time I'm on a Windows machine, I get a bit lost. Yes, so now let's try to transfer a single file from your local machine. So most probably you're on a laptop and on to the cluster, so to Saga. And the syntax is the command first, then the from, so the source file, and then the destination and the name of the where you want to put it. So the Saga login information, and then the path on the remote directory. So let's see, let me open another terminal on the side. I'll just make it a bit bigger. It went out of bounds. So this is now a terminal on my personal laptop. And let's see, I forgot to create. Yes, I can. Let me try to, I have one file here, it's a small file. Let me try to copy that to Saga. So SCP and OIDC, you can take any file that you have, of course, the one that you need. And then I need to specify my username and Saga Sigma 2NO, and then to the path that I want. And I'm going to do it simple. I'm just going to do to the home directory, and that I can specify by just doing a colon, and it will go to the home directory. So let me then open my phone again, and I need to go to the authenticator. Let's see. And the one-time code is there. Okay, looks like it was successful. From my laptop now, I managed to transfer this file to Saga, it seems. So let's see if that is the case. I'll move this up a bit. So I'm on my home folder, and yes, I see a new file, oedcgen.sh, which is exactly the file name of exactly the file that I transferred. So that's good. And if you want to try, so we can create a file. I'll just do this example too. I forgot that there was a very nice example there. So let us exactly do what it says here. Echo. So what this does is this $sign is meant for creating a variable, and the parenthesis is that inside there is executed the command. So I'll just show you. If I do date, the command date on my terminal, you will see that it outputs the date. But if I do $date, it will be saved in a variable. So by doing echo $date, I will output that into a file. So the ones that were there, I will redirect it into a file. So for you that were there in the course yesterday, you will have seen this exact way to do it. So I do that, echo date into my laptop from laptop text file. So let me inspect what that contains. So if I do now cat, which means read the contents of that file from laptop. Yes, you see it's the date. Okay, now I want to copy that file. So save copy. Which file is from laptop, and then my username, Saga Sigma 2 NO, and then here again you see an example of just the colon, which means that it will be copied to the home folder, and it will use the name that it has here from laptop. Press enter. I changed my password recently to a very long password. Okay. Looks like it's been transferred. Let's have a look now. I'm back on Saga. Let me have a look if the file is there. Yes. It's there. Very good. Now, how can I download from the cluster to my laptop? So the special thing with what we did now is that we transferred from our laptop to the cluster. And the cluster is there listening. You can SSH into it, you could do safe copy into it, but my laptop doesn't have that possibility. It's not, most probably you haven't set up your laptop to be able to listen for, it's not a server basically. You can't just from somewhere else access it.
No, you need the SSHD or the SSH daemon running if.
Yes.
And you don't typically have that on your laptop.
You don't typically have that. You could have it, but that's not that's advanced. So what I have to do then is that I cannot from the cluster copy the file and run the safe copy command from the cluster to my laptop. I have to do it the other way around. So let's then first create a file on the cluster. Let's do something like that. So echo now host name. If I do host name -f, you will see the host name. So I will echo that and redirect it into a file called fromcluster.txt. And well, here in the example, we also added the date. So let's append to that file. It's a good chance to remind you that 2 of these larger than, greater than signs means that you append to the file. So let's append date, and let's just inspect the file now from cluster. And you see, yes, it has the host name here and it has the date. So now if I want to have this from this file here on my laptop, what I have to do is I have to go to my laptop terminal. I'm here on my laptop, and I have to now do safe copy, and then from is now the cluster. So MyKMP at Saga Sigma 2 NO, and then the file name. So colon and from cluster.txt. That means it'll just try to find that file on my home directory, which is okay because that's where I created it. If I created it some other place, I should write the path to blah blah blah, whatever, the whole path. But right now I can just use the colon because I made it created it on my home folder. And then I want to just download it to here where I am on my laptop in the folder that I am. And for that, I can just add the dot. That means here. So let me try that. Okay, so again, I need to enter the one-time passphrase. And my long password. There. Yes, it seems successful. And now let's see if I actually have that file from cluster. Yes, I'm now on my laptop. from cluster. Yeah, it's exactly as we saw as expected. We have managed to download the file from the cluster to the laptop. Very good. So very often you don't just want to download a single file. You want to download many files, maybe some files of a certain type or a whole directory. Then you have to, for example, use the -R option for safe copy. That means recursive, so it'll download the whole folder for you.
With subfolders.
With subfolders, exactly. Recursively all the way to the end, basically, everything that's in the folder. So let's see if I have, if I dare to show that. Well, I can always, so I'll try to copy over my documents folder. It might be too large, but I will just cut it if it's too large. So let me do my documents folder like that. And then I want that into Saga Sigma 2 NO, and I'll just put it in the home directory. Let's see if I managed to, I think I spelled my password wrong. Ah, yes. I have, my password is too long. But it will do it if I ask it to do it and if I manage to print my password correctly. So the -R is the way to do the whole directory. But you can also add like a wildcard. So let's say documents. Oi, my file system is completely, what happens here? Just a minute. Ah, yeah, it's because I didn't give it access. So I can do JPG, for example. So I have some documents, what's it called? Images, JPEG images. And if I wanted to copy just the JPEG images, I could do it like this, for example. Let me try again. Yes. This will mess up my home directory because I didn't put it in the same, in a specific folder. So now you see I'm on Saga and I have lots of JPEG that I transferred from my laptop, including Selbu Mittens pattern. Okay. What else? Yes. So I use safe copy now, but very often I use rsync instead for the reasons I mentioned before, that it's very convenient if you're transferring a lot of files or large files. And with rsync, you have an option called partial and also an option called progress. And those two can be combined into a option with large capital P, --P. So basically it'll ensure that if your transfer gets interrupted, it'll actually manage to pick up in where it's ended last time and continue from there.
And you have never experienced any file inconsistencies?
I think I actually have, but I'm not sure. It's a long time since I've needed actually to transfer large files. How about you?
No, I haven't experienced any. But I haven't used rsync that much.
No. And in my cases, most often it has been many files rather than large files. So I'm not completely sure how it, how others from NRIS joining might have more knowledge about this and experience. But at least if you're transferring, like for example, a directory with lots of files and you haven't archived them, you just transfer one by one. It's lovely because then it just picks up from the file that it did last and continues and finishes. And yeah, you see there's many other options here. So it's just to explore. V is for verbose. Z means that you archive when you're transferring, and yeah, and so on. Yes, and another way to transfer files is to use a graphical user interface. So, I mean, using these commands are great for if you have to transfer many files, right? But if you just want to drag and drop one file or one directory, you can also use graphical user interfaces like Visual Studio Code. So let me see if I can open my Finder and demonstrate just how that works. So here I have VS Code. I should already be connected to Saga, as you see. Yes, I'm in Saga. And I'm not sure if I have to open a folder first, but let me try again to just drag and drop this file and see what happens. Yes. You see, I could just drag from my Finder and Mac into Visual Studio Code and have the file open in Visual Studio Code. It was the same file that I downloaded before, so let me actually remove it here, and I want to open a folder so that it's a bit more visible. And I'll do it again. Let's see, opening a remote, see if I have to log in again. Yes, exactly. I have to log in again because then now that you open a new folder, you have to verify again. So let me do that.
Oh, we have no password.
I know, it's a sentence. Yeah, so here you see how long it is. And it didn't work. Yeah, I'm not sure if I should try to, sometimes it can be a hassle. But the point is you can basically drag and drop files into Visual Studio Code once you have the connection. And so that's also an option. Our Visual Studio Code demonstrations have not been that successful this time. Yes, and that was the basics related to transferring files. Let's see if there's any questions. Right, some syntax. So you have to, when you do the commands, in any Linux commands, it's essential that you follow the exact correct syntax, and otherwise you will get some errors. So if I, for example, had done said, for example, Sigma instead of Sigma 2, obviously it would not be the right machine, so it wouldn't be able to find it. And any other mistakes like that, you would just try to find it and in the end time out because there's no such machine. And yeah, so couldn't resolve hostname is an example of that.